Welcome, my friends. This is Maniacal Incorporated, and at the end of the last episode, Grianghrafadóir had entered a war on the side of some new allies who were fighting for independence from the Crown of Alba. Now, at the end of the last episode, I said I was going to land my forces here in Wales and was going to siege down these areas. The army we're fighting against has brought in some rather large forces in the north of Scotland, so what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to bring this army up. We're at least going to land them here. I'm not too sure whether we're going to siege down this area or not, but we're going to try and engage in some battles and at least prevent our allies, what few raised allies there are up there, from getting utterly wiped out. One thing I want to do very quickly before I go on and do anything else is if we come and look at the Irish conquest of the Yareldom of Leinster. We'd gotten up to 100% war score, and then we sieged down two territories over here, and we were dropped down to 50-something% war score. Now, what I've seen is that as the war score dropped, we had managed to capture a babby, and this is the babby, our prisoner, and she is the daughter of Duke Arnulf, who is leading another war against the Gardariki, or against Novgorod, Gardariki rebranded. So what I'm going to do is I might have to go into my... is she in my court? She is. She's a prisoner, and we are going to... Will we ransom her? Yeah, we won't. We'll just release her. He's in bad need of money. We're just going to simply release her. I'll gain a hook on the baby, just the way I don't gain any stress. And hopefully, with that agreed to, that might bring us up to 100%. Now, I have been trying to organize a couple of marriages and things like this, just amongst my knights to courtiers and things like this, and also demanding that people convert to insular Christianity. We have a lot of people who do not understand or abide by the correct method for the calculation of Easter. So we have released the baby. We're still on 72% war score. I was hoping that that would bring us back up. It hasn't, so hopefully our allies will continue to siege down in this area. Because we're going to try and bring this war to an end. I won't say horridly, but we'll try and get something done in this region. What would it be best for us to do? Our allies don't seem to be under too much strain or stress, so we'll see if we can siege down. There's not much money. We'll see if we can put some money together before moving our forces up and sieging down the main army. But hopefully our allies, our French allies, our West Frankish allies, or what's left of them, there's a good chunk of them milling around here. Hopefully they're going to go back and siege down some areas here and get us that the last couple of ticks that we need to bring that war to an end. And here's that large Welsh army wandering around. We're going to bring them across and see if we can meet up with the 700 troops up there. Ooh, a sensual proposal. So, this woman is attempting to seduce Grianghrafadóir. She's got good stats, but she's lowborn, and personally I don't think Grianghrafadóir would give her the time of day. Who's she actually married to? She's married to one of my champions. Go seduce him instead. How sweet, but no. Grianghrafadóir has much larger things to worry about at the moment. There's a small army got caught off guard there. That 571 men are probably going to get caught before we can get up to them. There they go. While that battle is going on, let's see if we can redirect our troops to here to hit this army and knock a chunk out of it before anyone comes across to reinforce them. So the larger armies don't seem to be coming to support them, which is good. We've got a bit of a victory there. So we can see that there's this large hostile army, but that's actually attacking against Servertuk in a separate war. And our wife has given us a son. A son and successor. It is our second son, however... our first son, Conquest, ruled briefly as King of Alba for less than a year. He was elected before he was deposed, and then he was murdered under suspicious circumstances, died under suspicious circumstances. Our wife has given us a child. If we come and look at Grianghrafadóir, If we look at his mother, we see his her 4 children, the full brothers of Grianghrafadóir. And there is his poor brother Cuchurcha, who was slain at the Battle of Cornwall, so I think it's appropriate. We'll take a look at the baby. Yes, the baby has inherited his mother's giant trait. So this is going to be a giant baby. Hopefully a ruler fit to succeed in line to Grianghrafadóir and Flann Sinna, and he'll be named after his uncle, his warrior uncle, Cuchurcha Moore. May you grow wise, may you grow strong and wise, my son. And Flann Sinna, or not Flann Sinna, I'm gonna be calling him Flann Sinna for a long time. Grianghrafadóir celebrates with a battle. Now the major army has just left. Now of course this is what everyone's fighting over, so they are actually getting a good war score by sieging down Orkney. And there you go, in a single battle we've managed to bring the war to an end. We have captured the king himself. Well, that's quite handy. My next plan was to march on Aberdeen, but yeah, that doesn't look like it's going to be necessary. Now we're going to march on Aberdeen anyway, because we're not the primary leader in this war, so we can't actually bring this to an end. So possibly we'll just have to continue sieging places down until it does. And there we go. There we have it. The war, I think, has ended. We've gained a favour hook on King Servertuk, and we have won the war. I think it was an independence war, I'm not entirely too sure. And also the other thing that happened is that the Grianghrafadóir's alliance to the Salian rulers of, not entirely too sure where they're the rulers of, Klingensburg. So this has also been enacted. Wow, a lot of stuff happening all at once. Grianghrafadóir getting a son. The war in Scotland coming to an end. Grianghrafadóir getting married. Now, she does have disputed heritage. It's possible her father is someone else. But if that does happen, all we want at the moment is her mother's army. That's basically all we want at the moment. We don't really care about anything else. All we want is the mother's army for now. So be it. We're also in a position to get a lifestyle perk, a martial lifestyle perk, and we're going to take the last one to become gallant. And from here on in, what he's going to focus on, I actually can't change to that just yet, presumably because I changed so recently to chivalry. So this was the very first thing that I picked with him. But we're gonna move as soon as possible. We're gonna move to possibly foreign affairs focus, maybe majesty focus, and we're going to come down the diplomat tree. So that's going to give us it's going to give us opinions, but it's also going to give us improvements on casus belli and on forming alliances without a marriage. And what's the one that I want? I think I definitely want to come down here first of all to get each alliance granting +1 diplomacy, because we have a lot of alliances, so many that people won't form new ones with us. So you'll have seen lots of pop-ups for people converting to insular Christianity. I've gone down through my court and tried to arrange some marriages between people, tried to get people who weren't insular to convert. Here is one of Flann Sinna's wives that he married in, I think, the last year of his life, basically for the intrigue stats when there was a plot to kill him. I would love to know who was behind that plot. Was it Grianghrafadóir? I don't think we'll ever know. I've tried to organise some marriages for her, but I've been told that the chances of children are none. So speaking of none, asked to take vows. She won't take vows. Very close though. We'll ask anyway, or I should have checked what the I can't now. There's a couple of people here that I am going to ask them to take vows at some point in time. Here is my nephew. Gerald, he is a child of Orna, who was married off to the Count of Bern. Now, he already had an older child who inherited the county on his death. Here's one of the children in my court, and as you can see, he's sterile, so I've actually changed his education focus. I've put him in charge of, I've put him, his guardian, as somebody with high learning, and I'm going to see if I can get him to take vows pretty much as soon as he comes of age, and possibly see if we can get him to be our bishop someday, which would be quite cool. I'm also marching the army back into our little Scottish enclave. I'm going to see if we can just get the numbers up a small bit, and then we're going to send them back to the continent and continue on the wars there and see if we can bring the war for Leinster to an end. So here is one of our big problems. Here is the army of Augsburg, which is 3,000. They are loyal to Novgorod, so here is their duke. And here is Grianghrafadóir's daughter. So we married her to him to secure an alliance, but he's now fighting against us at the moment. A 3k army is quite big. I think we have 2,100 troops. We have a larger army involved in this, but we either need to meet up with the French and try and crush that army, or possibly hope that it's going away to siege down some lands as part of the internal war that's going on over here. I think we're gonna skip them. We're gonna bring our forces probably into West Francia, march them across, and now of course what we could do is we could go absolutely mad and come down here to Ghana and start trying to whittle down the alliance down there. I think if we can actually strike at some lands, finding lands that aren't in revolt is quite difficult, but maybe up around here and march down and take some of the regions down here. So we're gonna put our army in Bruges, and then we'll march them across. Lothringia has came back again. March them across Lothringia and march them in here into Novgorod. And we're seeing that bold people are joining in against us in this war. Does that give us any more interesting targets that we could go to war with? A war so big it barely even fits on the map. They are now up to 7,000 soldiers. I have been holding back on calling in too many allies. I think that's going to have to come to an end, and we're going to have to pretty much call in everyone that we can, or use our position as head of the house to call in as many forces as we can. This guy's doing a fantastic job. Look at that. 3 soldiers of the Galoglos dedicated to this battle. That's fantastic. Yareldom, thank you very much for this. I won't forget this. That's a great contribution. Well done. So the good news is we have a lot of allies to call in. The bad news is that none of them will answer the call. Grianghrafadóir's murderous past is being a bit of a hindrance. So what we're going to do is we're going to redirect. We're not going to go to Bruges, and instead we're going to land here, and we're going to march into this area, which has somehow become involved in the war. They're involved in 2 wars. They're fighting against what I think is like the Bavarian Independence War, and they are fighting against us as well. So we're gonna siege down some areas here, and hopefully that will contribute to us. Because Novgorod proper, a lot of those areas are in revolt, so we don't necessarily want to siege those down and actually assist the Novgorod forces. Gardariki rebranded, and they could be rebranding or unbranding, because of course it looks like the title is next going to go to one of Helgi's sons, and we can just see here that my daughter has been captured by my brother-in-law, King Louis. So this is Louis of Aquitaine. He's fighting on our side, and he might also be fighting on the side of the Bavarian independence claimants, and he has captured my daughter, who, like I said, is married to one of the Novgorod loyalists, Augsburg. So it's getting weird. It's getting weird. And of course, another one of my nieces is married to the King of Ghana, and that was how Gardariki pulled them into this war. The devils. And speaking of my niece, she's been in prison for a while. Her husband has just died, and somebody else has been elected as the King of Ghana. Ghana continues to fight in the war. But I had expected, and indeed he actually died under mysterious circumstances. Ooh, I had anticipated that they would have a child, and that one day a descendant of Flann Sinna would rule as king of Ghana. Doesn't look like that's going to happen now. But that's going to break up that alliance in future, I think. But of course, she now goes back into the pool, into the Novgorod pool, to be ushered out again. Well, if she's released from prison, to be married off again, to make more Gardariki in disguise alliances to strike at Ireland. Our war score is going up. We're ticking up from 72. We're up to 81%. I do know that the French have landed. They have started sieging down areas in this region again. And if we could just take one or two of them, Joe, if you could just move down a bit, just maybe even, like, look at that. Just, no? Actually, I'm not too sure if we take these areas. I think if they were to take these, we'd pretty much, we'd be fine. We're in a bit of an exposed position up here because a lot of forces have moved from here and across to this region. And now, if we see them coming back, we could be caught off guard. But I don't think we should be too bad. Nobody is landing in Ireland. Nobody is landing in Scotland or anything like that. So we're okay for now. In the shadows of the fabled city of Dithmarschen, we have a camp dispute. O'Carnachon and Garbeth are arguing. Deliver a speech about unity, 42 stress, and 100 lifestyle. Sure. I've never had any of these succeed so far. It's always turned into a brawl. I've always joined in. There's a chance we'll get wounded. I think there was even a chance there that we would lose sadistic. Oh dear. That's not good. We quickly zoom up and we have a... well, it's a peasant faction. A peasant rabble. Has the rabble actually arisen, though? We're going to the factions. We have a couple of factions now. There's a peasant rabble. Oh, there is. So it's just a faction at the moment. That's grand. That's grand. So this is the area that we inherited from our son, Conquest, when he was murdered suspiciously. He briefly held it as the king of Scotland. This conquest has done nothing for our war score. It's getting difficult to understand where we shouldn't be sieging down at this point. We did get some money though, so that's not too bad. Are we going to have to do a big cross-country run down to Parsburg? Sure. Let's hit there. It's the closest one to us. It's got 17 gold. And I knew they were going to be coming for me at some point in time. The Swedish have declared war for our little Norse colony. There's not a lot we can do about that. They have 8,000 troops to their name. We'll rally the troops, but they've caught us at a bad time. They knew when to strike the devils. So just to give an idea of what's going on, Sweden is coming at us with 4,500 men. We're down to 1,800. We have no allies we can call in at the moment. Our allies won't join us. And which is one of the reasons that we need to get down that diplomacy route as quickly as possible. They're going to be able to get up to, I think, 8,000. We're not going to be able to hold out against that. It's possible that we're just going to have to surrender the territory. I think we're just going to have to surrender it, because if we fight them and they take it and they decide to push into Ireland proper, we're in trouble. So I'm gonna see if we can surrender and what this will do for us. He'll gain the contested title, 75 fame, and his allies won't get anything because nobody's done anything. After 41 days, we're just going to straight up surrender the county, and this is going to be our first territorial loss in this playthrough. The war will be lost. Now, will Grianghrafadóir become his prisoner? I'm not entirely too sure there. we'll do it, and we'll... I'm not entirely too sure. Will he become his prisoner? We'll see if we can bring the war for Leinster to an end, first of all. We'll see if we can bring the war for Leinster to an end, first of all. I'm not entirely too sure. It doesn't say that we will. Or maybe they can even get a 100% war score just by taking that area. The French finally seem to be doing something now that I'm appearing. We're ticking up to 85% war score. Fantastic timing as well for our alliances. Another alliance has failed because the guy that we just helped to achieve independence in Orkney, he has just died. And that alliance has collapsed. So Grianghrafadóir is able to unlock a new martial perk. We have control growth. I think we're going to go for Casus Belli, because I have a feeling that we're going to need it. So that'll give us cheaper Casus Belli. And now we're going to come to diplomacy. And we could either bring ourselves up to 11 diplomacy or up to 9 diplomacy and increase our prestige. I think we'll go for the +3 to diplomacy. And we're going to start by coming down this wing here. Increased opinion from gifts, an alliance without the need for a marriage, and every alliance grants us a +1, even though we've just started losing alliances. But we should be able to get them back, and of course we have lots of children to build alliances with. And in a rather strange move, what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to marry Grianghrafadóir's daughter Mora, his giant daughter, off to one of his champions. So we're going to keep Mora at court instead of trying to form an alliance, because they're not working out. We have a lot of them at the moment and they're not working out. Let's see if we can keep that giant trait in court. And so the Swedish have arrived with 4,500 troops marching into our little Norwegian holding. There's not a lot we can do. There was a tiny force of 300 men there. They have been wiped out. And presumably that's going to fall quite shortly. We, of course, are focusing on events at the other side of Europe. Far to the south of events that are going on there. We're hopefully going to siege down this place and start getting the few ticks that we need. I've been saying that for a long time. Getting the ticks that we need to build this up. They're not even West Frankish anymore. They're Kingdom of Lothringia. Are they involved in another war? They're not. But they're not assisting me all that well. Now, of course, we don't have an alliance with them anymore. And this is something new as well. Ghana has made another return to Ireland. Oh, blast you. Oh, the wars are coming in all corners at this point in time. So already, poor Cuchurcamur, 2 years of age, being put to use, marrying him off into the House of Brittany. The guy is there, he is. This is the man that sent his forces across the Channel and struck at Cornwall, killing Cuchurcamur's uncle, who he is named after. And this is what we're driven to, trying to get any number of alliances that we can. We have a number of Scottish alliances who won't join us for various different reasons. They don't like us. And I think with the siege here at Parsberg, we're up to 90% war score. And of course, we have an ability that we can enforce peace at lower numbers. So hopefully we should be able to do that now and bring at least one war to an end. Enforce our demands for the Yareldom of Ulster. They will accept, and we enforce that. And we keep our forces there. We'll probably start to bring them in some direction. So that alliance has been formed. And Grianghrafadóir finally achieves his father's desired goal, the objective that Flann Sinna died trying to achieve 8 years ago. I did not think this was going to go on for a full 8 years. The Irish conquest of the Yareldom of Leinster has ended. So be it. Now let's see what type of a situation we're in. Already, immediately, my daughter's husband, as soon as that war ends, he's now called us into a new war. He's fighting for independence, and he's fighting for independence against the guys we've just came out of a war against. Jedvert, and the guy who inherited Ghana. Oh, we're going to have to take a look at this. So this is what the war looks like at the moment. We haven't entered yet. Augsburg has 3,000 soldiers. Novgorod has 5,200. You can see that Leinster is still coloured in as being part of Novgorod that is in revolt. So it's a bit confusing. They're already at 91% war score, so what we could pretty much do at this point in time is just keep our armies where they are, march down into this little red region here, and we do have to worry about Ghana though, because I think Ghana has forces on the island of Ireland. We've lost our alliance to West Francia now, so the Aquitaine and West Francia have left the war, and now that that last war has ended, that's our alliance gone. Our alliance fell apart halfway through on the death of, I think it was it Louis III? And we, of course, have our little scenario up here where that tiny bit of Ireland is under siege. Like I said, I don't think we'll be able to hold it. I'm going to join. I'm going to join, and we're going to siege down this little area here. We're going to see if we need to bring our forces back then and attack Ghana, but we might get some credit and make this guy like us more, our son-in-law. So I'm not entirely too sure what's going on here, but we have not taken Leinster. Leinster is not ours. I thought we had enforced our demands, but apparently not. So that war did not succeed. There is a lot of foreign troops in Ireland at the moment. We're gonna try and find some place to actually siege down. It's difficult at the moment to try and figure out where all the various alliances are. Yeah, but that's a bit of a disappointment. I'm not entirely too sure what happened here, but we haven't taken Leinster. It looks like we're going to have to go to war again at some stage for that, possibly. So the war continues. Poor Flann Sinna's war did not conclude. And so without contributing anything, I think we contributed absolutely nothing, but the war here has ended. So be it. And so Augsburg has become independent from Gardariki holdings. Novgorod still controls Leinster. We're still in that war for Sweden, or the Swedish war for Norway. What we could do is try to call in allies and basically stand in Ireland and be ready for the defence of Ireland, or we could just surrender and hand over this territory now. Now that we're in a position to do so, I'm gonna see if we can surrender and just hand over the territory. So we've surrendered, and we have lost our little Norse holding. Thankfully, Grianghrafadóir wasn't taken prisoner or anything like that. So be it. And so the war ends, and now our little overseas colony. There's our rally point. That's gone. That was... I'm not too sure what happened over here. I'm going to have to check that out. Maybe I pressed the wrong button. That's a bit of a disappointment. And finally, with all the money that we have... well, I won't say all the money that we've gotten, but what we're going to do is we're going to begin constructing Palisades in Athlone. We've seen that they could have been of use to us at various different times, and also they'll give us levies and garrisons. So that'll be 3 years before that's done. Novgorod is weakened, and it's in a tremendous state of wars. I've been thinking about this. I don't think that Grianghrafadóir would have declared war for the liberation of Leinster if it hadn't been for the fact that that the war was already ongoing when his father died. Grianghrafadóir's son Conquest sat as king of Alba in the aftermath of the rather destructive rule of King Constantine the Mad. He weakened Alba to such a degree that Ireland even was able to come in and take chunks off of it. The Isles have expanded massively and stripped away huge chunks of it. This region has completely collapsed. And the Scots came together, or the Gaelic peoples of Alba came together, and they elected Congus, I suppose with the hopes that one day his father would sit as High King of Ireland, Congus would sit as King of Alba, and that this would restore some level of stability to the region. Congus was deposed and was then murdered suspiciously. Could it have been Grianghrafadóir? We know that he was murdering a stepmother. Another stepmother died. He joined a plot to kill our bishop. It's possible that he had his own son killed because of his own dreams of actually holding the crown. So what I'm going to do in the next episode is we're going to see how this anarchy pans out. There are 4 major wars to strip away what little is left of Alba. I was hoping that I could declare a war to subjugate the crown, but I can't. But what we're going to see in the next episode is that instead of moving towards Leinster, what we're going to see Grianghrafadóir doing is maybe getting to grips with the changed situation in Ireland, and we're going to see him moving into this region and possibly trying to build out an Irish foothold here and possibly claim the crown of Alba itself. The other thing is, of course, that there is an election. There's still an election ongoing in Ireland for the High Kingship. There's always an election for the High Kingship. We've changed our vote to our son, Cúchorcha Mór, but the leading candidate at the moment is now our half-brother Garalt the Drunkard, down here in the bottom of the country, down in Desmond. So we're going to have to see about improving Cúchorcha's chances at being elected. We actually have a weak hook on one of the rulers, so we could potentially force them to vote in favour of Cúchorcha. I think, yeah, we can force his vote by using the hook. But hopefully Grianghrafadóir will have many years ahead of him, and just in case he hasn't, we're going to start strengthening Athlone the way Cúchorcha Mór has forces to retake the High Kingship if it becomes necessary. Thank you for joining me on this episode. It was an odd one. I'm going to see what exactly happened there in Leinster, and I hope you'll join me on the next one.